My name is Mr. Spearson. This is drafting. This is the regular curriculum. And if you're watching this video, you're trying to figure out what your child needs to do to turn in the required amount of points. So, as you can tell here, this is Teams. This is where all our communication happens, all Teams assignments, all quizzes, pretty much everything. Uh, every week I post an assignment. It's the 11th of December is this week's, and the date represents the Friday, and then of course the month. So last week was the 4th of December. Um, so essentially what it works is I just require 20 points a week. That's it. Now, how you figure out where you get your 20 points refers to the actual class notebook up here. Now, this layout you see here is going to be identical to what your child sees. There may be some differences, but the stuff that I'm going to be going over is strictly what your child would see. So, um, as you can tell here, we are in first period drafting. If I was to go to Teams and go back to all teams, all I see is drafting because that's all I teach. We're going to pick on first period, and the posts happen in here. The class notebook is where all of my curriculum is at. So if I click on class notebook, and once it loads, um, I click on my show navigation, or the books, stacked up books, is the content library. Now I see a bunch of names here because I'm the teacher, so I hold all the students. But the content library is where you're going to figure out where your child is at, um, and or whether your child is going to know what required amount of points they need to turn in for the week. This curriculum teaches 4 subjects: fundamentals, AutoCAD, mechanical, and architecture. So you need to ask your child where they're at, or simply just go down to their name. So we're going to pick on Dowling here, and he's in fundamentals. So if I click on fundamentals, then he's past unit 4 and he's on unit 5. And as you can tell, there's an instruction sheet, and he's turned in 5.1 and 5.2. So fundamentals is where all kids start out in drafting, and they have 7 units. And as you can tell, there's a bunch of PDFs here. Essentially, the very first PDF, which would represent the DI-1, which explains drafting instruction unit 1, gives you a rundown on what you need to do to complete this unit in order to go on to the next unit. We have videos in here that go over drawings, as you can tell. So we have a bunch of resources for students. But to go back, the instruction sheet, the DI-2, gives you details on what you need to have submitted to get the 20 points a week. So I've already downloaded the DI-2, and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. And as you can tell here, this is the instruction sheet for Unit 2 basic equipment. And it just goes by steps. They're pretty self-explanatory. Read steps 1 all the way to step 12. As you can tell here, the first step says download and read Unit 2 text. Notice that this is bolded. That bold actually represents a PDF inside this unit, Unit 2 text. To go back to this, most kids should be between steps 5 and 12. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you work at your own pace. So you can essentially be on your child could be on step 8, and your child's friend could be on step 12. It just depends on what they submit for the week. Now, I require 20. Now, some kids turn in 50 points, which is 5 drawings. Some kids turn in 1 point, or I'm sorry, 1 drawing, which is only 10 points. And I essentially let your child move at their own pace. I get involved when they have a C or less, and I start making contact with the child first. And then when it gets to a D or F, that's when I start making contact with you guys. Now, semester is the grade that I concentrate on. Because my class is just run by a cumulative amount of points, I don't necessarily care about quarter 2, because by the end of the semester, it's just total points. That's all it is. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on if Dallin was your child and you wanted to know what Dallin needs to submit for this week, essentially what you would do is go to Class Notebook in their drafting period. You would then go to the underneath their name, underneath Content Library, and as you can tell, like I said, I have all these students. If Dallin is showing you this, all Dallin sees is his name. And then he opens up fundamentals. And when he opens up fundamentals, he's past unit 4 because there's a unit 5, and essentially there's an instruction sheet. Now he has 5.1 done and 5.2 done. So if I opened up 5.2 or 5.1, I'm sorry, it would look like this with a check mark above it. Pretty self-explanatory. Um, if I open up the instruction sheet, this is where you would sit down with your child, Dallin, and say, okay, Dallin, it looks like you had finished 5.2 and 5.1. Remember, Mr. Spearson requires 20 points for this week. So in theory, you should be done with 5.4 and 5.3. So that's kind of how we need to kind of give you guys instruction on where your child is at. They need to go to their teams. They need to open up their content. They need to go to the class notebook. They need to go underneath their name and they need to look at what has been submitted, open up their instruction sheet, and find out what they need to do to get drawings done. So Dallin needs to finish these 2 drawings in order to get the 20 points. Now, like I said, Dallin could finish all of these if he wants to. It's completely up to him. But in order to maintain a good grade in here, he needs to have at least these 2 done. So that's the video. If you have any questions, please respond back to me. I tried making this video multiple times, so I might have missed some stuff, but it's pretty self-explanatory in the sense everything happens in teams. The instruction sheets all happen under class notebook in the content library. Ask your child where they are, or simply just go underneath their name to find out what they're doing. And you can kind of work from there. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and respond back to this email. I hope you all have a great day. My name is Mr. Spearson.